大家好，Master 追山风水和大家见面。那今天是星期五的晚上啊，现在已经大概应该是新加坡大概12点了，就是凌晨了啊。那为什么这样晚还上来啊跟大家做直播呢？其实也没有什么原因，只是说有些时间。然后呢，其实现在是泰国大概11点啊，晚上11点，所以呢，就是说想更趁这个时间呢。有 WiFi 的时候呢，跟大家见个面啊，因为呢，其实今天下午啊，那个电也是停哈，今天下午也是停电，所以嘛，我没有办法工作，也是没有办法说跟你们给你们一个 update 哈。那我现在呢，还是在清莱这个地方。如果呢大家有跟进这个，就是有看那个新闻的话，也知道啊，现在泰国很多的地方已经开始淹水的非常严重。然后呢，其实刚开始是靠近拉那边或者湄汉爽那边，然后呢一直下去清莱，然后呢现在又下去了南邦，然后呢很快应该很多地方呢也会开始淹水的，淹得非常的严重了。那其实呢，这个淹水的问题哦，我已经在大概6月的时候已经跟大家讲解过了，已经就是说给大家一个心理准备哦。我用八字算出来，就是说在大概这个9月啦跟10月这段时间，除了会淹水淹得很厉害，还会怎么样呢？还会有一个情况就是说地震啊，或者呢很多关于在地上的一些问题啊。什么叫做地上的问题？好像天桥会断啊，突然间那个地就是那个我们叫做 concrete floor 啊，那个 ground 啊，会突然间有一个 sinkhole 啊，或者很多很多关于地上的一些问题，当然就是 landslide 啊这些东西也是会发生的，因为程序相冲，我们在这个下个月啦，尤其是 October 的时候啊，我们今年的年份是2024年，就是甲辰的这个年份嘛，然后呢，这个10月的时候就是甲戌啊，辰戌会相冲，然后呢，我们看到嘛，木在辰跟戌上面的嘛，两个甲木，因为2024年的天干是甲天干，然后呢是木的天干，然后10月的时候也是木的天干，然后呢，年份的地支是辰，然后月份的地支是戌，所以辰戌相冲，就是代表了一定会有大地震，然后让很多高的建筑物掉下来。因为甲物在八字上面是代表那些比较高的建筑物，所以呢，我们会看到很多高的一种大厦或者一些我们叫做甚至树木这些都会掉下来了，在地震的时候或者发生一些大的自然灾害的情况下会掉下来哈。那我为什么说呢？这个9月的时候会下非常的大的雨呢？然后很多国家都会淹水，淹得很厉害呢？因为就是癸酉这个月份啊，大家如果有读过八字的话，就知道癸水就是代表雨水嘛，对不对？有这个就是金的元素嘛，对不对？有金嘛，就是一个金生水的一个状况哦。所以这个金生水的状况呢，会在这个下半年非常的严重，尤其是在9月开始啊。为什么呢？也是因为我们今年2024年这个是辰的年份，是龙的年份如果大家呢有那个八字的基础的话，也是懂得一个道理，就是说呢，辰跟酉是合金的，辰跟酉是合金的，那金合了变成一个很重大的一个我们叫做一个气场一个金属的气场会让这个世界整个世界的那个气候呢，就变成非常的水旺因为金生水嘛，癸水就是那个雨水嘛，所以很多地方就淹水淹得非常的厉害，甚至马来西亚、越南还有甚至美国很多地方也是有这个台风淹水的情况出现，也是开始有地震那这些我都是在很早，大概其实在年头的时候已经跟大家forecast 了已经给你们一个 prediction 了。所以大家真的要小心，如果去外国旅行的话或者要去什么地方double check 下先那个地方会不会是那种比较容易地震的地方。或者淹水的地方，你看现在越南很多地方那个风吹到那个屋顶都掉 吹到往天空上面飞啊，对不对？所以这些呢，Master Jason 已经告诉你们的东西呢，不是开玩笑的，是出于一个给你们的一个关怀，还有一个关心才告诉你们哈，因为这些都是非同小可。那救人一命胜过九级佛陀，对不对？那我告诉你们，这些都是希望能够救到你们的生命，希望你们能够脱离危险啊。那如果呢，真的遇到什么危险啊，或者觉得有什么危险呢，你们可以练一个咒语哈、可以练这个Om Anna Anna de Visa Visa de Vira Fraja Fraja Vira Fraja Fraja OK，我再念多一次啊，那个咒语是这样念的，Om Anna Anna de Visa Visa de Vira Fraja Fraja Re Banda Banda de Fraja Rabani Ba Home 中 p 说哈，那这个咒语呢是能够让你们就是得到那个佛祖的保佑啦。这个呢咒语呢也是能够帮你们脱离那种邪灵的骚扰啊，好像你去到外国嘛，如果你是说很怕有鬼啊那种啊，你也是可以练这个咒语哈、那如果你们有需要知道这个咒语是那个是英文的那个 pronunciation 是什么样呢？我等一下你们可以发那个WhatsApp 给我了哈，那我就可以给你们那个我们叫做咒语啦，所以让你们如果去到外国呢，如果真的会遇到危险的话，就是可以念这个咒语啦。那我从轻慢慢的念多一次哦，Om Anna Anna de Visa Visa de Vira Vaja Radare Banda Bandali Vajra Bani Pat Home Drum Pat Swaha 哦，那这个咒语是非常好的啊。那当然呢，好像如果你是说去到别的国家或者别的酒店啊，觉得有时候会害怕，也是可以带一些圣物啊，好像这些takut 哦，这些也是很好的带在身上。那好像这种 takut 嘛，就是库巴罗做的啊，那个库巴罗做的叫做它是叫做108的一个服管的，那它是有108个功效，能够保佑我们平安啊、安全啊等等的。那我自己是古巴来的一个 fans 啊，都是一个粉丝啊，每次去到清迈这些地方，都会请很多他的东西哦，他的塔古哦。那因为他已经70多岁了啊，现在，所以呢，他的塔古我都会请，因为要留着，等到他不在了就没有了，没有人能够做这些很好的一些我们叫做宗教的圣物了啊。那我只是说我自己喜欢这些圣物，是能够自己带过，觉得很 peaceful 了，就是带了以后也是一切很顺利。可是真的哈，我们八字呢早就跟你们就是告诉我们呢，会有淹水的情况，会下大雨，很多地方也会有很 extreme 的 weather condition，所以你们真的要小心。还有更糟糕的天气状况在10月会发生。So to repeat myself in English for those who can understand English only, towards the month of October, the weather conditions will continue to be extreme and situations will worsen in many parts of the world. There will be earthquakes and floodings and other form of natural disasters will continue to take place, especially disasters that are related to the ground, in the sense that, for example, the ground may split apart, or there will be earthquake causing a landslide, causing buildings to collapse, causing many trees to collapse, because towards the month of October, especially, it is the month of Jia Xu, and it is having an earth branch Xu that is clashing with the yearly earth branch of Chen in the year 2024. Chen Xu clashes, it is a metaphor for earthquake for any disasters that are related to the ground. So you have to be cautious of bridges breaking apart, being destroyed by strong wind, by typhoon, by flooding, etc. Or there will be sinkholes in many parts of the world. There will be landslides in many parts of the world. There will also be great traffic accidents, especially traffic accidents that are on the ground. So we all have to be especially cautious, especially so if you are traveling. Choose places that will not have flooding or earthquakes that will help you ensure your safety. In Buddhism, we believe that life is precious and it is important for us to save life. That's the reason why I have make all these predictions in advance. In fact, you can go back to my YouTube channel and realize that I have already made all this prediction in the beginning of year and uh, doing the second time of prediction for the second half of 2024. I have reiterated again that there will be earthquakes, there will be flooding, there will be extreme weather conditions affecting many parts of the world, and all these are coming true right now. So, why is it that I can foretell all these events or all these incidences? It is really very simple. There's nothing special about me. It's just that I have studied Bazi, I have studied it in depth and able to use it to look into the future. And all of us can do so if you are able to decode the information within the Bazi birth chart. And that is also the reason I will be conducting the last lesson for indirect wealth hacking in the month of October. This will be the last face-to-face lesson for indirect wealth hacking. What does indirect wealth hacking mean? This term is coined by me, is created by me. Basically, it is a term to refer to the identification of opportunity to increase the indirect wealth in your life through the decoding of your 八字 chart, your 紫微斗数 chart, and your feng shui. And in this October lesson, I will also include information related to palms reading. All right, palms reading means the reading of the lines, of the different shapes, or the curves, or the different domains or areas on our palm in order to decode whether we will be able to achieve great wealth in life. 好，就是呢10月的时候呢，我还会开班，那这个班就是那个偏财，怎么用华语来讲解呢？就是增加偏财的方法的一个课程呢。那其实呢，我们每个人的命运里面都有偏财的，只是你懂不懂得哪个时候能够判断哪一天或者哪一个月份、哪一个星期你的偏财是比较旺的。那如果你能够把握这些时间，而且你能够用一个主动的态度或者生活方式，或者进行一些我们叫做计划来增进你的那个 indirect wealth，其实都是很有用。就是呢，天时地利人和，就是呢，我们能够呢判断呢天给我们的那个时间表嘛，就是等于一模一样啊。为什么我能够准确的判断呢？9月跟10月的时候会有淹水啊，会有地震的这种情况啊，尤其是10月地震一定会发生。那我每次都是说拭目以待，对不对？那到了那时候嘛，事情真的会发生的啊。那你们可以回去我的 YouTube， 我很多 prediction 呢，都凭着八字真正的八字的分析呢，而准确的告诉你们未来的事情哈。好像第一就是我有说过好像Thaksin就是泰国的那个前总理了他会回来泰国而且他会重新有一个新的开始。那真的他现在的女儿嘛，就是已经做了那个 Prime Minister 了嘛。那其实这个就是随年听政的嘛一个方法嘛，就是好像那时候慈禧太后对不对？他随年听政，就是呢把那个溥仪嘛放在那个皇帝的座椅上面，可是背后谁是在掌管那个这个朝廷上的东西，就是慈禧太后嘛。那现在Thaksin也是一模一样Thaksin就是他姓就是泰国的前总理，他现在已经回来泰国了。我已经在以前的推测里面已经说过了，Thaksin他一定会能够成功回来泰国，而且能够继续的有个新的发展。那真的发生了他现在已经回来泰国了，他的女儿已经现在登上了那个 Prime Minister 的位置，所以呢，依我判断的事情都一一发生。那我也曾经判断过安华 Ibrahim 就是 Malaysia Prime Minister， 他会被投选成为新的一个马来西亚的一个总理，那也是发生过。 那些全部的证据，你们都可以上去我的 YouTube channel 里面重新的去看。还有呢，我也曾经判断过Messi 就是那个 World Cup 啊 Final 啊谁会赢，我说 Messi 的那个 team 会赢，那时我也是判断，那到最后也是 Messi 的 team 赢了。还有很多 prediction 的好像也是有 predict 过关于Singapore 的那个 4G leadership，我是说有说过Prime Minister Lawrence Wong 他的就是能够胜任的机会是最高的，那到最后他也是胜任了。还有很多很多其他东西，我也是你们自己去看的，去看我的 YouTube channel，就打这个名字咯，Master Jason 风水哈，你们就能够很容易找得到我的 YouTube channel 了哈。或者我打在这边你们自己去打那个名字Master Jason 风水你们就可以在那个 YouTube channel 里边找到很多我以前已经做过的 prediction，那很多已经 come true 了所以呢，还有很多我关于以后世界会发生的事情，我也是有 predict 也是有好像关于 US election 很多的，你们去看你们去看。那我也有说过呢，2024年很多人会被裁员，there will be a great retrenchment throughout the world in the year 2024. Indeed, it also came true, and also predicted that COVID-19 will not be completely eliminated in the year 2024. It will continue to exist. It has also came true. So there are a lot of predictions that I have made. It's really for the betterment of our lives because knowing what will happen in our lives, right? It's very much like GPS, right? If you have GPS can tell you when you go forward, when you stop at certain junction, whether you should turn right or turn left, and if you follow this accurate GPS prediction, it will give you a shortcut to reach your destination, and that's basically the same idea of why I have conducted this indirect wealth hacking course because it has provided shortcuts for many of my followers or clients. And I have also documented all these as evidence in one of my folder, album, in the Facebook album. All right. Perhaps I will just show you just some of the recent cases. Like one of my clients has actually won $59,000 by using indirect wealth hacking. But of course, I have to emphasize, right? The fact is that indirect wealth hacking is not about gambling. It's just that many people who are interested in indirect wealth, but they are underemployed. In Singapore, I will say 70 to 80% of the people are not entrepreneur or not business owner, and that the only way that they can test out these what I call the efficiency or the effectiveness of indirect wealth hacking is either through the buying of lottery or going to play things like the jackpot. So this is a client who has sent me, as you can see, I have earlier on given him the dates, right, for for him to identify the day and hour that is good for his indirect wealth. And indeed, he has updated me, right, during the predicted timing that he has won $59,829 78 cents, right? So he actually sent me a WhatsApp message telling me that at this lucky hour he has some winning. So all these events are no coincidence. It is through the careful calculation of the indirect wealth opportunity that my clients are able to win such great have the luck to win such what I call great amount of winning. And of course, there are still a lot of examples. I don't want to go through them one by one. You can look through the albums yourself. It's really all listed here. Called all right. It's called real life result feedbacks of extra feng shui services is inside my Facebook profile. You can go through all the feedback one by one. So many clients have already received the blessings. And why do I want to help my clients? Because I know personally that even in Singapore, it is a highly stressful lifestyle. The rich are becoming richer, the poor are getting poorer. Although it is the fourth, Singapore is the fourth richest country in the world. But we have to be careful of the term, right? It is the country that is rich, but not the people. I will say a lot of people are really struggling. For example, although we are so-called living in a first world country, the fourth most wealthy country in the world, but I see many clients struggling financially. They don't even have money to enjoy, um, what they deserve to enjoy. Perhaps, for example, just to dine out with family or with their elderly parents once in a while, right? That will actually cost them kind of like Singaporeans like to call the word damage, right? A damage of $200 plus, right? Just for a simple meal. And MRT fares are increasing, right? A lot of things are getting more expensive than previously, right? So I see that lives, especially for those just graduated, right, are getting harder and harder in Singapore. A lot of newly graduated youths, they are not able to find a job that, reward them fairly, compensate them fairly for their qualification. And then a lot of older workers in Singapore are being retrenched and their jobs are being replaced by AI. And that is not a lack. I will not say that it is a positive sign, right? Because we can see that people are getting lesser and lesser income, but living expenses are getting higher and higher. That's why it is very important for us to derive wisdom from, from derive ways of increasing income from ancient wisdom. And of course, I always encourage my students or my followers or clients to start up their own business. But it is also a matter of fact that setting up businesses, the cost is very high in Singapore. The workers' levy, especially if you employ foreigners, the levy is getting higher and higher. Electricity, all the business expenses are also, increasing. So what else can you do? Of course, I will encourage all of us to consider, um, you know, furthering our knowledge, furthering our skills. Of course, we should also considering taking up, the or the subsidies that the government is providing Singaporeans, like the Skill Future, right? All these are good for us to upgrade. But ultimately, as I have mentioned, success is all about heavenly timing. Secondly, your environmental factors. And thirdly, the people you know, the people you associate yourself with. Without these three important factors, you will never achieve success in life. Let me repeat. 我们成功永远都需要三件事情，第一就是天时，第二就是地利，第三就是人和。如果呢你不懂怎么判断自己的天时，那你怎么样去辛苦的去挣扎啊，或者怎么样去找机会啊，你也是会，那到最后呢，只是白跑一趟的一个感觉啊。It is always important for us to identify the heavenly timing in order to achieve great success. In fact, I personally know that the Singapore government, for example, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, if you remember the first speech, right, when he made, when he was being appointed as the Prime Minister, the very first speech that he made, right, because he was born with a Kwe water day master that is strong. He actually chose an evening at the hour of sheep, and the day itself is strong in the fire element to conduct his very first speech. And then the National Day rally, the speech for the National Day rally, him as the first Prime Minister of Singapore has also chosen a day, an hour that is strong in the fire and earth element that has given him the authority. And I believe the authority and the or the what I call the auspicious timing to provide him the best setting to provide his to give his speech. And I believe he actually did quite well in his first two speeches. And I have actually observed all this carefully because, to be honest, all right, I know all of us are also quite aware that Singapore government actually is very they do take in a lot of advices or guidance from feng shui or from ancient wisdom, from the way they construct the buildings like along Marina Bay, like the garden by the bay. If you know Singapore, the Batu chart actually lacks the wood element and the water element. That's the reason why, right? You can see that recently the Singapore government is investing more and more money into the construction of buildings, of parks, of reclamation of lands along the Marina Bay Sand area, because that is basically the area that is close to the sea. And during the Li Gua Zhou Yun, which is a night period, that area is actually very auspicious for development. So even the mascot Malayan is also related to the metal and water element. Why is it that Singapore government has to choose the Malayan as the mascot, the auspicious mascot? It's because lion itself is of the metal element, and when it's always discharging water, it is a metaphor for metal, generating water. And if you look at the casino, it is, is being built like the letter rain, in Chinese letter 雨水的雨, right? The rain Chinese character, it is similar to the Chinese character rain. So all these are actually, behind the scene, a lot of Jammers, feng shui practitioner have conceived all these idea, like, how to plan or how to construct the skyline of Singapore. Another example is the wheel, the flyer, the very big flyer along the Marina Bay area also. Previously, it was turned anti-clockwise, right, facing out, right, which has actually, in feng shui, actually is a sign of discharging the wealth, right, to other countries. So the government or actually has made a plan, actually has kind of like make an arrangement for the flyer to turn the other way so that now the wind is blowing clockwise directions towards Singapore to invite wealth into Singapore. So all these are actually quite interesting. But what I'm trying to say is that even the Singapore government knows that feng shui is important, the timing is important. And that's also the reason why they have chosen Prime Minister Lawrence Wong to enter into, to hold the highest position in the government. Not so called the highest, but officially, as the Prime Minister is already the highest, but we still have the senior minister, all right, in Singapore. We still have the senior minister. But nonetheless, we are entering into the year of the snake, the year of the horse, and the year of the goat. 是马红羊年, or a lot of people are talking about this over the internet right now because the next 3 years is extremely strong in the fire energy. So it will not be auspicious for Singapore, and it will be extremely important for Singapore to have a leadership renewal. And if you look at the birth chart of Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, his is of a very, very strong Kui Water Day Master and has a very similar characteristics of the Batu chart of Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. If you plot Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's birth chart, you will know that his is of a Kui Gang Ge, of a Ren Day Water that is very strong. And it was under Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's leadership that Singapore was able to overcome a lot of challenges, build a strong foundation for Singapore future development. And likewise, I would say in the next 3 years, Singapore will experience a lot of obstacles. Let me repeat. In the next 3 years, due to the presence of very strong fire elements, Singapore will experience economic crisis. It will experience um, a lot of obstacles, a lot of upheavals or chaos or havocs. This is also due to the fact that in the next 3 years, the world is entering into an extremely unbalanced phase of um, 四五位. 四五位 are of the fire or southern energy. 四五位 in itself, of course, for those who have started budget before, will know that it's of a fire combination formation. So it's not going to be a smooth ride. The next 3 years is not going to be a smooth ride. I have to be very honest. In fact, a lot of us already can observe the economy is not doing well in Singapore. A lot of shops are closing down due to lack of customers. A lot of restaurants are also shutting down. A lot of people, venturing overseas for holiday instead of staying in Singapore, causing the economy, especially tourism, to be weakened. And I will also say many companies in Singapore, because I currently, I do provide a lot of advices to business owners through my service, because a lot of people who come to me for budget and those reading are business owners. They all told me the same thing. Very hard to retain manpower, very hard to recruit people who can work for them long term, and also the market is not doing well. It's not doing well. And will the next 3 years be worse? It will be worse. The stock market will collapse because stock is of the metal and water elements. The next 3 years is of the fire, strong in the fire element. So stocks will not do well. Once stocks will not do well, it will affect the rest of the industry. Property will not see great increase in value. Also, it will kind of plateau. So the only factors that are going to blossom will be the IT sector or anything that's related to technology or computer science or AI, because that is of the fire element. But not all of us are into computer science or into IT or into AI, right? So how are we going to survive through the next 3 years? Wars will break out between different nations. In fact, we all can observe, right? Ukraine and Russia war is not going to end anytime soon. And I have already made a prediction about this war not going to end anytime soon. And that will drag on and affect the entire world stability. Also, we also can see the possibility of new viruses spreading globally. The next 3 years may see repetition, a kind of repetition of global pandemic like the COVID-19, but it's going to be a new kind of virus. So it's going to be very chaotic. And obviously, I don't want all these negative things to happen. But I cannot deny the fact that the next 3 years, due to the presence of this very hot kind of like elemental energy that is present, is going to be chaotic. Will there be great explosion like nuclear wars and stuff like that? There will be, right? Many people will die due to great explosions, due to military operations, etc., etc. So it's not going to be an easy ride. I have to be honest. Even I tell myself that I have to be psychologically ready. Um, but then, right, we still have to follow the heavenly timing. But even though, right, it is going to be a tough time, but not all of us will suffer, especially those battle chart that lead the fire element. You will do well. You may actually be more wealthy, but not so for people who needed the water element or the metal element, the water and metal element. Okay, so some will benefit from the next 3 years development. Some will, get worse. Ultimately, it is really to maximize the advantages and to minimize the harms. So I forget to read the messages. Wang Wang, will Singapore have? As in Singapore have what? Maybe sorry, I just remember to read the comments. Perhaps you would like to ask more specifically as to will Singapore have as in what? Thank you very much, Huang Huang. It's the first time seeing you here, and it's a pleasure meeting you. And David, good morning also. And hello, Yvonne. Thank you very much for watching. And Mr. David, spot on, Master Jason. What happens in Singapore of cost of living? Yes, it will get worse. It will get worse. That is something that we cannot run away from. All right. Towards the next 3 years, I will say we all have to be mentally prepared, especially after entering into the second half of 2025. That is somewhere right after the election. You will see all kinds of cost increase, right? So you have to be prepared, right? I'm not like no targeting the government. I'm just telling you from the budget perspective, because next year 2025 is of the Yi Shi. Yi wood on top as the heavenly stem, and the earth branches of Shi fire, a sign of wood enhancing fire. And usually the earth branch will represent the second half of the year, the lunar year. So about July, August onwards, right, you will see uh, all kinds of implementation of tax increase or levy increase or whatever increase. The government will implement all this, and that will also be somewhere near right after the election. All right, so enjoy your whatever subsidies that you are having right now, right? Receive it with your right hand right now, but later on, there is a very high chance for you to also have to give back with your left hand, right? That is always a cycle that most of us who have lived in Singapore understood. Okay, so will Singapore have a change in government? Singapore is not likely to have a change in government, but the opposition is likely to become more and more fierce in their competition for the major control of the government. So, because as we all know, if you have ever looked at the budget chart of Singapore, the next few years is of the let me open the budget chart of Singapore and show you. The next few years, there's actually a conflict of the wood and metal element, so there will be a lot of conflicts within the parliament, in the sense that the opposition will have more and more kind of like ideas as to contest the government's, the PAP's agenda, etc. For example, right, when you look at the Singapore birth chart, it is from 2025 almost entering into Gen Yin. Gen Yin is a sign of metal and wood clashing with each other. So it is not going to be harmonious. There will be more conflicts within the parliament. And once we have entered into the lunar year 2025, right, the opposition will get louder, especially after the Iswaran case. You all may remember the Iswaran case, right, about the corruption case. Once the case is going to be under trial, the opposition will definitely pick on the government on this. So we all have to wait and see. Also, most of my prediction in the past, right? You guys just wait and see if is going to it will. I mean, I'm just telling you, Bazi is very accurate. It's not saying that I'm accurate. I'm just telling you, Bazi itself will be able to decode a lot of information. So let's wait and see, right? Once entering into the Lunar New Year 2025, the opposition will have more challenge, will challenge the PAP government even in a more fierce manner. And that is also towards when Iswara will get his sentencing. Okay, so let's wait and see. So because as we all know, Iswaran case is still under kind of under the trial. We as commoners should not comment on it because it may interfere with the justice system in Singapore. So I will not comment further. Actually, Singapore hope to have change in government, but when will it happen? It will not happen. I will have to be honest. It will not happen because Singapore government is the Singapore birth chart is in such a way whereby it is being born in the sun month branch of sun, and that is a sign of high degree of control, and it is the government with the highest degree of control that will continue to govern Singapore. And of course, we all know, right, which government give us the highest degree of control. Of course, it's PAP. So other opposition will not be able to form the major government. I have to be honest. So let's give up hope on that. Hey, but I know a lot of people want to see the Workers' Party of the or the PSP forming the main government. I'm sorry, it will not happen in Singapore. All right, because this is due to the birth charts of Singapore. It will not happen. The PAP will still control the majority of votes, but it will continue to face more and more opposition, not only from the Workers' Party or the PSP party, but also from um, okay, I would just say that more and more people will have their own opinions that wanted to be heard. And I hope that the PAP government will do that to open their ears to be, to be receptive from, of the ideas given by the public. That is really for everyone's good, right? Right, because I know, right? PAP government, they understand these facts is that Singapore is very fragile, right? A high degree of control is always necessary, but still, right? Humans are still humans. They will wish for their ideas to be heard, to be understood. To have a government that can empathize with their feelings, with their struggles and challenges. And I do hope that Mr. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong will be able to take this approach because I believe Mr. Lawrence Wong will be able to provide this so-called soft power. In a new political era, soft power is very powerful also. And Prime Minister Lawrence Wong of Kui is a yin nature element, so he may be able to, portray a softer approach in governance, to be more receptive, to be more empathetic towards the population, which is a good thing, right? I have to tell you that Prime Minister Lawrence Wong Batu is beneficial for Singapore overall. Is beneficial for Singapore, especially for the next 3 years. Singapore is going to see a lot of obstacles, and under the governance of Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, Singapore will be more stable, right? Will be more stable. Because to be honest, right, when I look at other potential prime minister, right, previously potentially able to be prime minister, the few candidates, their birth charts are not that positive, right? Only Prime Minister Lawrence Wong birth chart is more positive and able to govern Singapore well, in a more stable manner in the next 3 years. Not saying that under his government, or under his leadership, Singapore will totally be free of troubles or challenges or obstacles. No, definitely not. The next 3 years, especially, Singapore will face a hell lot of challenges. I have to be honest, right? It's going to be a difficult ride for Singapore. So hopefully, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong will make things better for everyone. And yes, Yvonne, you are correct. Matter chop wood. So we cannot run away from the fact that no other opposition will be able to form the government, even they are able to have the majority of the votes. Ultimately, PAP will still win and will still continue to rule Singapore, right? Of course, each of us have our own liking, but this is not about liking or not. This is about how the astrological chart or the battle chart of Singapore is, right? You cannot run away from the fact that it needed a government that is able to exercise very high degree of control. Yeah. So, Mr. David, so which industry will be great next 3 years? Definitely the IT industry, AI, anything that's related to cyber security, anything that's related to the internet transaction, anything that's related to handphone, e-commerce, um, what have you, TikToker, being a YouTuber, teaching online, etc. Anything that's related to digital world, anything that is related to intangible kind of this what I call intangible assets, right? Because IT is very related to intangible assets, like you build a database to sell, or etc. So you guys can brainstorm along this line. Okay, so really it's not going to be easy ride, but well, I hope that we can continue to leverage on ancient wisdom to help us live better. And that's why the last course that going to conduct, face-to-face indirect wealth hacking course, will be able to help us to plan for the future. And this will be the very last time that I will conduct this course face-to-face, whereas in the future, you will be able to access this course only via the through the internet or through my student portal. So there will no longer be any face-to-face lesson in the future for indirect wealth hacking course, because there are still many other lessons that I want to teach, such as in-depth 紫微斗数 study, and also palmistry, and also feng shui course. So I have to. There's only one me, so I cannot teach all these lessons repeatedly. It will waste time, and also I want to make more time for other activities because I'm also planning to write some books. And all these are still under a conceptualization stage, but step by step, I will make it happen. So if you do want to make use of this opportunity, it will be the last time I will conduct this face-to-face course. Means you can ask me any questions during the lesson, and I will clarify the doubts or the confusions immediately for you, which will be very helpful for all. And also, towards the end of the year, I will also commence the in-depth 紫微斗数 study. As all of us, right? A lot of my clients and followers have told me that they are very interested to learn more about 紫微斗数, because 紫微斗数 is unlike 八字. 八字 is very abstract in the sense that you have to have a lot of kind of imagination, visualization, come to a very abstract comprehension of how the elements interact with one another. Well, 紫微斗数 is very direct and straightforward. You have this star, you have that star, and this domain paired with one another. You will have certain kind of story in your life or situation developing in your life. So it's more direct, more clear, and more concise. In fact, 紫微斗数 has the 12 domains that is able to tell you the 12 aspects of your life, like aspects related to your wealth. We have the wealth domain, your career domain, your travel domain, your siblings domain, parents domain, marriage domain, children's domain, etc., etc. And especially your karmic and mind domain, which will show you your past life karma. Right, a lot of you have been asking me about your past life karma, who you were in your past life. And in this in-depth 紫微斗数 study, you will also be taught on how to analyze your past life. So when will the elections be called? About second half of year 2025. So it's about June or July, around that time. If you really want to be consulted to look at the, let me double check on next year, the month. Well, it is likely to be August and September, right? That is the period of time whereby, um, I will have to be. I will have. I mean, as I already said, there will be more opposition. Forcing their. I mean, or challenging the government, but still the PAP will win. All right, still the PAP will win. So, but the next 3 years is also important to have a strong government, because the world will be in an extremely chaotic condition, right? Major great like some of the very great nations, they themselves will not do well, like America, like Russia, like China. In fact, I have already make a prediction about China, that China economy will get worse. It is already happening right now, because China, especially after the, perhaps I will open China's website to explain to you why, right? If you remember my prediction on China, China is actually of a 甲子, right? 甲子 day pillar, and it is of a what? It is of okay, let me read it this way. It is of the strong 甲 wood day master. And after 2027, I mean, okay, now it's already at the period of yin, this yin period. So it's of the wood element. So that's the reason why the property sector is having all kinds of problems like the Evergrande going bankrupt because when wood element is too strong, it will bring pressure to the earth element, and earth element is related to property sector, related to real estate, and that's why you see the property industry or the real estate industry in China is collapsing, and this will continue. And if real estate collapse, the rest of the economy will collapse accordingly. This is a domino effect, and this collapse will bring a great deterioration to China's economic development all the way into the future. So the best years for China is already over, right? It will not be like the past, like in the before the year 2017, right? Before 2017, especially from 1987 to 2017, these 30 years were the best years for China's development, but it is over. I'm sorry, right? This is according to the budget charts of China. Into the future, property industry or the property sector in China will collapse indefinitely, right? Means the situation will get worse and worse and worse and worse. And once this collapse, this real estate industry collapse, the rest will collapse accordingly. It's a domino effect. We cannot run away from it. So we cannot expect China to do well. US is not doing well also, although with the new election, I mean with the new president coming, um, likewise, right, he's not going to solve all the problems. I have mentioned that Donald Trump, even if he's going to be the new president, right, his uh, his presidency is going to face a lot of challenges. Also, he will not stay long. He will not have a stable government, and he will have a lot of opposition. That's why I say I actually calculated the chances of Harris winning is actually there, right? The chances of Kamala Harris is actually there. And I actually hope that Kamala Harris will win because she does have a positive development in the next 20 years. When a world leader has positive luck, it will also bring about positive developments to the world, or at least to the country that he or she is governing. Donald Trump, if his is a special formation chart of the Earth, in the next 10 years, he will face a lot of financial problems, political problems. No one will like to, follow his leadership, etc. But not so for Kamala Harris. So I do see Kamala Harris has a good chance, or it may happen in such a way that uh, Trump, right, may win the presidential election, but after that, right, maybe 2 or 3 years, he will no longer be able to hold it, and then Kamala Harris or other form of candidates will take on, and then have a stable development for the future. Or because 离卦九运, right, or the 9 period is especially positive for middle-aged women, and Kamala Harris definitely is a middle-aged woman, and it will. That's why she will stand a good chance of winning, I will say. So let's wait and see, right? I personally do hope that Kamala Harris will win because I believe her policy is more sound. Um, is she's doing it. I mean, at least, right? She appeared to be more genuine, whereas Donald Trump seems to be more for personal reasons, because as all of us know, personal, there are a lot of personal or kind of personal problems that Donald Trump is facing. He's actually facing a lot of lawsuits right now. Right, it's kind of weird in America. Even if you are considered a criminal, you can run for presidency or presidential election. But Donald Trump is facing heavy debts. And what he's trying to do right now is that he's trying to wait and see. If he's able to win the presidential election, then those people who are chasing him for his debts, of course, they will also be more lenient to him because you're already the most powerful man in the country, right? Even if you owe a lot of debts, they will or he will be able to leverage on his position as the uh, president to clear his debts, right? That is the reason, the main reason why he's so keen on running for the election, because there are really a lot of charges against him, and he's owing a lot of money here, right? I think it's about half a billion, or what is close to $1 billion of debts that he's owing. So he must win this election in order to clear his debts. But for Kamala Harris, he seems to have a more decent record as a public prosecutor, as a lawyer, fighting for people who are more, um, like the middle class, etc., etc. So I feel Kamala Harris is more genuine and more earnest, whereas Donald Trump is more for personal reason. So I do hope Kamala Harris will win. But let's take a look at the comments. Yvonne says that Southeast Asia will perform better. You mean this year? As in what, Southeast Asia? As in, you mean the situation? I will say no. Towards the second half of the year, especially in the next few months, Southeast Asia will experience a lot of natural disasters or extreme weather conditions. So people living in Southeast Asia, you guys have to be very careful, right? Protect your own safety at all costs, always. Okay, Mervin Chan Zhen Jie, will there be a financial crisis within this 3 years? Yes, definitely. In fact, towards once after we have entered the Lunar New Year, you will see that financial crisis will already be spreading globally. Okay, so we have to be psychologically ready, all right, for what is ahead. I was told that Saudi Arabia and India's economy may collapse also. Yes, definitely. For the next 3 years, the world economy overall will not be positive. First of all, China's property or real estate has already collapsed, and then U.S. is not doing well, and global consumption, due to the highest cost of these things, will also drop. War between Ukraine and Russia will continue. It will not stop anytime soon, despite whatever Donald Trump told you that he can just make a phone call and make the war stop in 24 hours, right? That's a joke, okay? It will not happen that way. And then now Russia is also allies with North Korea. So it's really getting more and more chaotic, okay? And then China is always aiming to claim back Taiwan, especially, Xi Jinping is now getting some health issues. So he will try to finish this goal within his lifetime. So I don't see a very positive future ahead, to be honest. Um, I heard 2050 will be another health crisis worse than COVID. What can you see? Then, Master. All right. When you talk about 2050, that will be entering into the water that 20-year cycle already. Right from 2023 or 24 to 2004, 2043 or 44, all right? That period of time is still under the Li Gua Zhou Yin, which is of the fire element. And after 2044, that the world will enter into the water element, 一白水星 or 一白贪婪水星. So during the 一白贪婪水星, which is of the water element, the whole world will be flooded. A lot of us have to move underwater to live already. Means global warming will cause the North Pole and South Pole, the ice to melt, and then the entire world will see an increase in water level. So it is no joke. It's not like the government is have nothing to do, that they are building a lot of barriers, like Singapore government. They are planning ahead. 20 years later, 30 years later, the water level will rise, causing Singapore to be sink, right? Really become a Singapore, right? Become a Singapore, because, right, really during the water trend, right, 一百贪婪水星, the flooding or the rising of the sea level will definitely happen. So I always believe that behind the Singapore government there are always Germany, feng shui practitioners or budget practitioners behind the Singapore government to tell them many years later what will happen to Singapore. And if you look at the Xuan Gong Flying Star, indeed, 一百滩南水星 is exactly of the water element. That's why you see the Singapore government, right, doing the Prime Minister Lawrence Wong first National Day rally speeches, saying that doing in along the southern area of the coast, there will be some kind of land reclamation to mitigate the possibility of rising sea level in the future. So when you say, right, Mervyn, when you say that after 2050, the world will see health issues worse than COVID-19, then you have to look right into the calendar. If you are talking about 2005, but globally speaking, rising sea level will definitely happen. But if you look at 2005 to 2053, it is also of the Rensen and Kueyo, right? If you look at the calendar, right, 2052 and 2053, likewise is of metal generating water. So during such a kind of year, pandemic will also happen. It's very like the COVID-19, right? The last few years, due to especially from 2019 onwards, we have the year of the Zihai, right? And then followed by okay, 2019 was of the Zihai, 2020 was of Genzi, 2021 is of the Xingqiu. That's why all these very strong water years, um, we have COVID-19, right? Because it weakens our lungs, our respiratory system is of the metal element. And when water element is too strong, it will weaken our lungs, our respiratory system. That has led to COVID-19. If you remember those patients who have suffered from COVID-19, they reported that they feel like their lungs are being filled with fluid, like they are drowning. Right? That's exactly, when you interpret it from a biotic perspective, it's really of metal turning into water energy. Our respiratory system, especially the lungs and the throat, is of the metal element. And when water is too strong during the few years, right? They've Many people reported after contracting COVID-19, they feel like they are drowning, even though they are not submerged in water, because there are a lot of fluid inside their lungs. Okay, so 2005 to 2053, these 2 years, there will be global pandemic. At the same time, there will be disasters caused by rising sea level. So it's not a very positive future. I'm sad to say that, but after entering into the water trend, which is the 一百滩南水星, a lot of us will be more spiritual in a sense that we, perhaps in terms of science, we will be able to discover the existence of our soul, our spirit, and then we will have more attention paid to the cultivation of spiritual energy or of moral values. So in a way, it is a good thing. Whereas in the Li Gua Zhou Yun, right, before or from now 2024 all the way to 2044, these 20 years, right, the whole world will always be caught up with frustration, anger, anxiety, worries, this kind of negative emotion. Right, people will just fight with each other over, like, the MRT seat, or when the car, doing traffic, they will just fight with one another over silly issues, right? Because anger is related to the fire element, and within Li Gua Jiu Yun, right? A lot of us will just get angry for no reason. We will just quarrel with one another online, even if we don't know each other. Then, like just recently, I saw a post, right? They just placed a photo of a cup that is half empty, and then there's a caption that says, people will argue over anything. And indeed, when you look at the comments, really, people will just quarrel with one another for nothing, telling, it's exactly half empty, but the other person will say it's half full, then the comments will continue. It's really pointless, right? But a lot of us will get involved with all these pointers, anger, hatred, etc. But after entering into the 一百滩南水星, or the water trend, that starting from 2044 onwards, I will say people will be more calm, will be more wise, or have higher EQ. And during that time, right, all our mind, right, our mind, The brain is of the water element. If you don't know, all right, the especially wisdom itself is of the water element. And during that water period, right, all our mind will be linked already. In the sense, maybe okay, what we now call telepathic ability in the future, because we can actually have receptor or computer that can be implanted in our body, and this kind of computer will be somehow in a kind of liquid form, like liquid form computer. I know it's very scientific, it's like 20 years later, but if you remember the movie, all right, I'm just trying to give you an illustration. If you remember the movie Terminator 2, there's this liquid robot, right? This liquid robot. So by the time when we have entered into the water trend, right, which is 20 years later, we will have liquid robots. And all this liquid robot or liquid computer will be able to mix with our body, our brain wave. So then it will connect everyone's emotion together. So people will be more empathetic. They will be able to understand one another's feeling, and that's a good thing, right? That is also, there will be a transfer of information without words. So I know it's kind of hard to imagine. Slowly when we are moving into the next 20 years, you will understand what I'm trying to say. Okay. So, Mr. Xian, Lee, thank you very much for watching. Also, good morning to you. Yep, in period nine, yes, exactly. Just now I talked about period nine. So, Kui is a symbol for virus. Yes, it is also a symbol of virus, because Kui is very much like vapor. Is an energy, is a matter for energy that's intangible, that will spread. So yes, it is also a matter for vapor. You are correct. So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to hopefully this chit chat session with you guys, right, have been able to shed some light as to what the future is going to be like. And but we can still continue, because ancient wisdom has survived for so many thousands of years, and they still continue to exist for a reason, because there's practical values in them, like palmistry has been there for 4,000 years. 紫微斗数 has been there since Ming Dynasty. Actually, before Ming Dynasty, it was when Ming Dynasty collapsed that it start to be spread to the rest of the population. But even before Ming Dynasty, 紫微斗数 already existed. So all these ancient wisdom will continue to be able to guide us into the future. Okay, so of course, there are a lot of other things that we can do to protect ourselves. For example, is like to carry some of the auspicious item, right, that has been consecrated by monks. I personally do that myself, right, because they do have a kind of positive energy. Because why I chose those items that has been consecrated by monks, because they spend years consecrating them. So I personally have used them before, and I find them to be helpful, and have eventually become a collector. For example, I'll collect Takrut by Krupaloy. This is the this is the 108 Takrut, as I mentioned. Why is it called 108 Takrut? Because as according to Krupaloy, it has 108 type of functions for protecting the virus. So I personally have used it and have found it to be helpful, and I still continue wearing them. So some of the things that are included, like within such a taku, is like the relics, the hair of Kupaloi. If you look at the taku closely, right, you can see the hair of Kupaloi inside, right, which is right here. Can you see the hair of Kupaloi? Right, the black color, those are his hair, and inside is a silver mantra roll, means the kata or the mantra that he himself has written. And of course, there's also the what we call the power, right? It is being consecrated with the purpose and the power to prevent bodily harm, dispel negative energies, removing bad luck, clearing obstacles, and bringing wealth and luck to the wearer. And it also helps in the personal relationship called the Metta Mahaliyong. right? Yeah, in Thai. So in newspaper, actually, there are various news reports that have, really published in the Thai news, right? That people who have worn this have survived assassination attempt. For example, a well-known real-life story was published on 19 September 2007 of a man named Mr. Tavon Raja, who is 59 years old, who has escaped from hill of bullets while wearing this takrut, right? This takrut by Krupa Loy, right? Mr. Tavon was a local administration officer of Sai Loy who lived in Phe province. One day while leaving his office, a gunman fired 5 shots at him. A bullet shaved his head, but he was not wounded as the rest of the shot missed him even at close range. He was wearing this Takun Kasatong, which is right here, this Takun Kasatong that was made by Krupa Loy. Again, and later on, he went to Krupa Loy and told Krupa Loy of this incident, and it was later reported by the police. Reported in the news, and other news report, right? That saved someone's life. Who has wore this Kasaton Takut, right? Is escaped from explosion. And other event happened on the 19th. Perhaps I will also show you another version of the Takrut, right? Another event happened on 18 June 2007, published by local Chiang Mai newspaper. This Mr. Rai Wat Tapan, 43 years old, who lived in Chiang Mai, not far from Wat Sri Dongmong. He's a follower of Krupa Loy and wears his Takur Kasaton daily. His business involves firework and dangerous explosives. One day his work was careless while working, and suddenly there was a huge explosion in his house. Mr. Rawat house was totally damaged, but he and his family escaped with not even a scratch. He was not. He was then wearing this takrut placed on his altar. He believed that he and his family was safe because of Kupaloy's takrut after he met Kupaloy and shared the miracle story with him. So, yeah, this also was published in the news. So there are really various real life stories. For example, military officer taking this takrut and which have saved him from other kind of dangers and accidents. So that's why I often visit Kupaloy. As in case you don't know who is Kupaloy, he is the abbot of Wat Sidong Mong in Chiang Mai. All right, I have visited him many times. Very friendly monk, and his prayers are just like fantastic, right? He make really lengthy prayers and fantastic prayers, and I have his items all blessed by him personally, by Kuba Loy personally. Of course, this is me, right? This is me, and perhaps I will try to show you another photo of me being blessed by Kupaloy. Yep. So this is me again, right? Meeting with Kupaloy. So his items are something that I loved very much because throughout the years I have been wearing them, have been collecting them. I also feel that it brings me a peace of mind. I don't know why when I wear it, I feel very peaceful and somehow the developments in my life have also been very smooth. And as you all know, also this year, right? After running my business online for 10 years, I have finally set up my shop in Singapore, a physical shop. So you guys, wherever you are from, do feel free to come and visit me. Whether you are from Singapore, Malaysia, or France, I have followers from all over the world. Some from Poland, they have come to visit me. From Indonesia, from Malaysia, and also from Hong Kong. So thank you all for visiting me in your shop. And for next few years, buy gold is good investment. No, it will not be a good investment because next few years is of the fire that element that is strong. gold may not actually increase in value. So I will not advise to buy gold. In Western place, I heard now is air industry from 2024 onward period 9. So all air industry will be improving faster, like air taxi be appearing soon. Yes, it will because air in itself or the sky in itself is intangible. And Li Gua Jiu Yin is especially related to anything that is intangible. So air industry, in a sense, right, fire when fire is being burned, the movement is such that it will always go upwards, right? Fire when it's being burned, the movement is always upwards, and the hot air will always rises. So whatever industry that's related to drone, like those drone that we fly to take photo right now, or air taxi or aeroplane or anything that flies, right, will become very popular in the future. For example, in the future, we will no longer deliver with motorcycle. We will send parcels or food delivery with drones. Or construction industry, they will carry those heavy items. They will carry them with drones also. And during military conflicts, wars will be fought with drones. It will no longer be fought with fighter planes or with tanks or with soldiers. You will see all the drones killing one another's drone, right? So that's called a future war, right? It's all related to drones. So yes, you are true. Anything that is related to flying objects, right, will see great developments. How about silver? Will it be rising within these few years? No, no, not likely. Also, but eventually, cryptocurrency will be more stable, especially I will say towards 2026 and 2027. So if you want to carry it out investment, I will say you can do so. With cryptocurrency. Um, but then if now, right, 4 years after 2024, I will say, right, usually the first 4 years after entering into the new universal trend, it will not be very stable. So if you really want to be safe, buy cryptocurrency now, but only let them go um, after 2028, then you'll be able to earn a lot of profit. Okay, so that's all I wish to share with you guys today. Do remember, right, in the month of October, it will be the last time that I'm conducting this indirect wealth hacking course face to face. After that, there will be no more. And then the next lesson will be in depth 紫微斗数 course. If you are interested to sign up, do WhatsApp me. My number is 984 111 and Singapore code +65 in front. Do let me know early so that I can confirm the slots and also prepare the venue and the timetable, right? For all my students and for all my followers. So thank you all for watching. It has been a great joy and pleasure and happiness and great fun also chit-chatting with you guys. Although it's quite random today, I talk about a lot of random stuff, but you know, it's Friday night, so perhaps we just go a bit random. All right. So I wish you all a good evening and thank you all for watching. Thank you, Mervin and Huang Huang. Very windy now. Yes, Singapore weather will also get more and more windy and wet in the coming weeks. So do take good care. In fact, is going to see heavy rain. Singapore will see heavy raining in the coming weeks. Okay. So also thank you, Yvonne, for being here tonight. Mr. Xian and also Mr. David. And thank you, the rest of the viewers. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Master Jason, for this interesting live session. We have so much more to learn from you. I'm always glad to share, and I have more to teach also in the future. And in the coming lessons, I will also teach you guys on palmistry. Right, palmistry is another very interesting knowledge to know. So especially once I'm back to Singapore, because now my equipment are not with me, like the various monitors. I can only one more, use my laptop, so I can't share screen. When I'm back to Singapore, I will be able to share screen and will be able to teach palmistry and also the Wi-Fi connection will be more stable. Now it's not really stable. Sometimes there's blackout due to the flooding in Chiang Rai. And also, if you are interested to help the families affected by the flooding in Chiang Rai, do let me know, right? Whatever efforts that you put in or whatever contribution that you put into helping them will really save a life, right? It is really very serious. The flooding here is really very serious. But for the rest of you who are staying in Southeast Asia, especially, or in countries that are earthquake prone, do stay safe. Okay. Love you guys, and we'll see you in the next live video. Bye bye.